Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Inquisition with worhammerpod. This will be his third appearance and we're going to talk about 11th House and Effect Necrons and other stuff, what we're looking forward to, what we're not looking forward to, things we're looking forward to seeing goodbye in 10th and things that we're not looking forward to seeing goodbye in 10th. All the points dropped today and the app was updated. If you haven't updated the app or you can't see any changes on the app, then you might need to uninstall the app and then reinstall it, and then you'll see all the new stuff. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting show this week. And then we've got Paint Party Scott next week, and he's going to talk us through Dark Angels and the Emperor's Nonces on how that will change the gameplay. As always, folks, remember orange brushes. Using Inquisition for 10% off free shipping if you're in the UK, and with Orange Brushes and Moonhopper's games, if you put in INQUI, INQUI, and buy Moonhopper Games own brand stuff, you get 15% off at checkout as well, which you can't say fairer than that. It's always better to save a wee bit of cash for your back pocket, so you can end up buying more plastic crack. There's the man of the hour, Dan himself. I'll just send you an invite now, Dan, and then we can get... Yehan, how are you doing, pal? Thanks for joining us this week. Hope you're all having a good World Cup. Scotland got a first victory. Hopefully we'll beat the Moroccans tomorrow. And I think we've drank Boston dry, which is always good. I think it puts to bed who can drink more, the Brits or the Americans, and I think just before the English got there, we drank America dry in Boston anyway. So yeah, that's going to be good. Right, send you an invite there, Dan. If you can, accept it. If not, maybe you need to update your app, because there was an update for Instagram. As always, Casey will be late, unless Casey is Commissar Molotov, because we've never seen them in the same stream. Got Ghana and Argentina in our sweepstake. Man, I watched the Jordan game this morning. Yeah, I think if they were in one each, it would have been a decent enough at one each. I think the goalkeeper fluffed his lines. But yeah, Messi should have been sent off, I think, as well, because that was a bad challenge. But yeah, Brits for sure. Yeah, Brits for life. Dan, are you getting the invite to come in? Have you updated your Instagram app yet today? Because there is an update for it. I hope Turkey win. Well, they did pretty gash the other night. They get pumped 2-0, didn't they? So I don't think unless they're going for third and try and hope. But I think they wanted to try and talk the group so you can maybe get a team that finishes third. What are you doing? Dan,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
there we go.
How are you doing, Mr. Dan?
I'm good, man. I was just trying to log on my iPad, but it's not having it. I'm sure I try this every time, and every time I fail, so apologies.
No, sorry, mate, don't worry about it. I had a bit of a trimming accident against my beard, and I now look like the kid from The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. Managed to survive the concentration camps and got fat after the war, which I suppose is within his right to do.
A happy ending, yes.
Yeah, that was a happy ending. Yeah, they get pumped off the Aussies. It was a pretty poor game. I think I've watched every game so far in this World Cup. Have you watched much of it yourself, Dan?
Do you know what? I tend to not bother too much with the group stages unless I'm really overexcited. So my first full game I'll watch will be tonight, probably.
You never watched Scotland. You never stayed up to 2 o'clock in the morning to watch Scotland face the mighty Haiti.
Not. It's far too late for me. I'd been asleep for about 5 hours by the time that kicked off.
Mate, I had to go for a nap. During the day. I was
A
absolutely.
tactical
I
nap.
wanted to stay up to watch it, but it was a struggle. The struggle was real, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
how do you think you will do tonight against the mighty Croatians?
Draw.
yeah, like Croatia always do well for a team that's got like 5 people in it. They always manage to find somebody who's fucking amazing. And I think Modric is a robot at this point. I think we can just safely say that he is maybe a Necron.
Yeah, he's definitely. If he's not Necron, he's Admech. He's slowly replacing bits with like cyborgs. So you've lost your beard, but Casey's stolen it and dyed it black. Look at that.
It looks as though you've went and fucking climbed the Himalayas or something.
I look amazing, and I look totally suited for this weather. The humidity is working wonders for both my hair and my facial hair, and I am sweating like a pig.
So the trick is to have a beautiful beard, but then nothing on top, so all the heat can like dissipate.
I need some sort of streamlining. I just not. Yeah. So it's not going well.
So when like during the Iraq War and that, when you used to occasionally one of our pilots would crash land, and that's what Casey looks like.
Yeah. It looks like he survived Bravo 2-0 from the first Gulf War.
Yeah, and the prison camp side of it, not actually just walking through the desert.
Are you Andy McNabb?
Hang on, let me do this with the remote. Do I look like him now?
Yeah. 100% you do. Aye, so I had a bit of a beard mishap yesterday, so I'm just trying to tell everybody. So I was trimming my head, and I was like, I'm going to trim the beard, and then my clippers ran out of charge, and I was like, I fucking had like half done my face, and I was like, I can't fucking go out. So I just took the decision to like cut it and then just shave it with my razor, but my razor went blunt halfway through my neck. So I was in the shower and I was like, fuck it, I'll just use this razor. That's my son's. So I was shaving away, and then my son came home from work last night, and I was like, I had to use your razor, and he's like, my razor's in my wash bag. Did you get out of my room? And I was like, no, the one beside the shower. He's like, oh, that's not my razor. And I was like, whose razor is it? He went, oh, I think that's Rosie's, like my youngest daughter who's over for 2 weeks.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, so I ended up using my daughter's razor on my face. I feel disgusted. But anyway, for folks who don't know you, Dan, do you want to give yourself a wee cheeky introduction and who you are and your other Instagram page as well?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, we're on. My name's Dan. As obviously, I run the Warhammer Instagram page and YouTube channels. War with a WOR, which in Geordie lingo means hour, so it's like Our Hammer. We thought that was going to be a funny play on words when we first started, because we didn't think anyone was going to give us any interest. But it's turned out that it's actually really hard to find on search engines, because I just think you're looking for the normal Warhammer spelling. But yeah, aside from that, yes, that's who I am. I love Necrons, as you can see behind me, and I'm also quite a fan of Orcs. And I am increasingly looking at other platforms that are easy to play. I like playing things like skirmish games like Trench Crusade. Not Kill Team, because it's too fucking complicated, but Trench Crusade, yeah.
Can I just pause there? I'm sorry. Kill Team's complicated, but you do 40k breakdown videos.
Yeah. No, I just ask AI and then write the script from there. Yeah. No. I think it's about like doing something that's fun and it doesn't require massive mental load. I like Kill Team, but it requires a similar mental load to 40k. Like you're a massive Mordheim fan, aren't you?
Again, it wasn't even me for the bingo sheet. There we go.
I had to get that one in for Dunk. I know he loves you talking about Mordheim.
But yeah, I get your point. Yeah. Mordheim's relatively simple.
Yeah, and Trench Crusade is a bit the same. Anything like that, I'm a big fan of. I just picked up a game called Petrichor, which is by Dave, who runs the MS Paints channel on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
That looks like that's cool as fuck. I'm not going to lie. I haven't played a game of it yet, but I've been reading through the rules, and that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun too.
Cool.
So may as well just jump straight into the chat about 11th, because obviously if people who are joining, the points were updated today, and as I had said earlier, if you've updated your app and you still don't see the changes, you might have to uninstall the app and then reinstall it. How badly were the Necron points affected today by yourself?
There was only a handful of units that didn't get touched in one way or another. But generally speaking, I think it was net positive. So maybe a dozen got points increases, and 4 of them with the Catan probably needed it. And then, but on the flip side, over 20 units got points reductions. A lot of them are quite small, 5 points here, 10 points there, but some of them are decent. Our flying croissants, the Doom side, that got 30 points off, and the Night side got 20 points off. There's a few others that got like 15 points off, and that. So there's. It was unexpected. I was expecting us to get more of the nerf bat and less of the nice touch, if you like, more of the bad touch, less of the good.
Yeah, like Mortarion he was bumped up in points today. I was pretty annoyed by that. But what about the detachments? Any detachments that you're looking forward to try and play?
Oh yeah, massively. I mean, the points changes and the rules changes together. This is a different fucking game for Necron players and for a lot of factions, I reckon. But the way I feel GW is kind of nudging us with these points changes and rules changes is towards using different stuff in different ways. Whether that'll stop people taking like loads of warriors that just never die, I don't know. But that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to move us towards more of a like multiple minimum size units. Sorry, I can't speak today. MSU, minimum size units. There we go. Got it out there. So things like instead of 20 warriors, maybe he's taking 2 or 3 units of 5 or 10 immortals. So that, and then you stick them on the objective. They'll do something. They'll die, and then the next one and the next one. That kind of thing. Detachment wise, the DP are okay. 3 of our detachments are 3 DP, so you're fucked there. You can either take them or you don't.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of nice little combos there. There's one, the Cursed Legion detachment. That was the one they brought out for the Necrosaur Amantar. It's all about the destroyers. That's already pretty good. And then there's another one, which is his name I've forgotten now, which is 1 DP, which can go with that, which is also pretty tasty for Locust destroyers. So between those two, that looks like it'll pair up quite well, because Cursed Legion was missing a little bit of shooty punch in some areas, I think, and a lot of the units in that got points cuts again as well. So it'll all add up.
What about the? And I love your phrasing of this as well. The spam tax for Necrons. Obviously, we've seen that in some of the factions. Oh, we've lost him.
I think he died.
Oh no!
Thank you.
Quick reanimation protocols.
I don't think you can do that anymore, can you?
Roll a Necron dice. I don't know what's happening. I'm losing everyone now. You've gone really blurry.
Oh, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, as long as you can hear me. I mean, that's what most people don't want to do, is hear me, if anything. But yeah, let's just see what happens. We might lose. And yeah, we've lost it. There we go. We'll get it back in one second.
No, maybe his potato internet has just run out.
No, that's only in Ireland that there's potato internet. In the northeast, it's Greg's internet.
Yeah,
you've got to make sure that there's enough sausage rolls to keep the internet on, because otherwise...
I thought the internet ran in Mickey Brown Ale.
No, that's just refreshment break material. The hamster wheel that powers northeastern internet has got a fishing rod with sausage rolls on it, and when Big Fat Alan manages to grab it, they're knackered. So they've just got to reload Big Fat Alan at the moment.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll take this moment, actually, while we're waiting for Dan to come back, to give a little word to some sponsors, because as you can see, I am sporting a rather fetching T-shirt tonight. From our sponsor, Moonhopper Games. Lovely group of guys. We've had them on the podcast before. They make paint, spacer materials, technical stuff, do some 3D printing for you, and also sell some minis and other bits. And they are available at Moonhopper Games online. I think if I'm right, Dunk, you use code Inquisition at checkout when you spend £25 and you get 15% off.
No, it's code INQUI and get 15% off when you spend £20 or more on Moonhopper own brand stuff.
I'm still learning this one, so you have to bear with me. I will nail the promo for it.
Don't you worry, we'll get there.
We will get there. And obviously, you know, as the colour of this candle. We are also sponsored by Orange Brushes. Ooh, that's no effort into that one today. I've just seen an orange candle on the table and fucking grabbed it.
Why do you have an orange candle?
Oh, it's Sarah. She's got an orange one and a green one, and it looks like the orange and lime Tic Tacs.
All you need now is a white one, and then you've got the island flag.
No, we'll put it the other way around, so it's the Ivory Coast one.
Yeah, doesn't it? Or if you get a wee something, a wee kind of horse wheel, you could have the Indian one if you put it horizontally.
Yeah, get the wheel in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know our flags. And then, yeah, so I've demonstrated it. They were kind enough to send me a T-shirt. They've sent one to Dunk as well, obviously, because he's in Ireland. The postman only comes around once a week, getting chased by the Garda. And they also sent me some lovely wound tokens, which was very kind of them. They didn't have to send us anything, but we asked them. They said yes, and we didn't have to go through any advertising third parties to get them involved. So there you go. Hard work pays off, people. You don't have to go to fake agencies.
No, we don't need to do that, because if you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. I keep trying to invite him. He keeps rejecting his invite, but hopefully one of them sticks.
Oh, it's not doing the buggy thing that he did, is it?
I don't know. It's not. It's like I've invited him. Oh. How do you think England will get on tonight against the Croats?
It's going to be like a boring 1-0 win.
Yeah, to Croatia.
So probably to win. It could go either way, actually. This, like, you look at, there's a lot of draws. Yeah, Shyburne's getting out. That's what my missus says there, Colin. It's a northeastern turn dunk. I think she's actually even got it on a print somewhere, because women love a print. Well, at least my wife does. I don't know about other women.
Yeah.
Okay. Now he's here in spirit. Yeah, we go. And you're back. Oh. Live TV, folks, is what we do best.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what the hell happened there.
Don't worry about it, mate.
Just kicked me out and wouldn't let me back in. I was like, Jesus, I've only been on 5 minutes. They've already fucking had enough of me.
Instagram thinks it's 16 minutes trying to bam you.
He's actually frozen again.
Yeah.
I think he's been booted out again.
Oh dear. It's probably the heat. I don't know. I'm just making shit up now.
It's probably everybody getting round to the pub. How come you're not down the... Are you going to go to the Battle Cruiser and watch the game tonight?
No, not for me tonight. I've got too much work to do. I've been absolutely slammed in the office recently, and my time has taken me all over the place. So I was actually down in Central. I was down in Penge today, and annoyingly, just the way things worked out, I didn't get to meet up with any mates or anything. But we'll do soon. Spam tax. That's what it is, Colin. A spam tax question broken. Like, there's too many people in it. Instagram's paying a spam tax on the stream.
Yeah.
Fucking bastards. Just angry that the government don't want 16-year-olds on Instagram anymore. Not that we've ever had a 16-year-old on stream.
I don't think we have, thankfully.
We've held abuse at your son before, but he's 17, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And plus, he's an idiot, so...
Right, here we go again.
Third time's a charm.
Right. I'm just going to jump off for 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Can you go and fix my internet while you're out?
You need to pay it, man. You need to pay it, lad.
I think, but yeah, that's my neighbour must have changed the Wi-Fi password, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. You need to get one of those big, long industry Ethernet cables, and then you don't need to worry about passwords then, mate. So, we were talking about fucking the detachments, like you're saying about maybe taking like blobs, like smaller blobs of guys instead of big bricks.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's my instinct is how they want us to play, and the points cuts seem to align with that. But at the moment, it feels very new, which is good. Like I was not expecting this level of change between editions. Like the odd number editions are normally like just a bit of tweaking and stuff like that. And if you I think you came in was it ninth? So you might not remember this, but like between like 8th and 10th were like the hard reset ones. You know, where you get we got the indexes and they made a load of changes. But I think there's actually been more changes in this edition than the last one. So building army lists is going to be a lot of fun. I think, like most people, I'll probably start with what I've got now, run that, test it, see what it's like. And I've already got like loads of ideas going of what I want to try next.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think they did the hard reset? Do you think it's maybe because of the competitive scene and it wasn't more immersive for players?
That is absolutely spot on, mate. I think it is exactly that. I think since about 8th edition, competitive 40k and normal 40k, if you like, were basically two separate games that happened to share a rule system. Mm-hmm. The way that competitive was played, the lists that you played it with, and even to some degree, you know, the terrain and stuff, was completely different to what GW had envisaged from their game. So this edition, 11th, is definitely their play of trying to get those two versions of the game back together. So there's just like one version, whether you're playing at a tournament or on the floor with your kids, it's going to be the same game in theory.
So what do you think's the biggest difference then from sorry, let me rephrase that. Is it similar to any other editions that we've had, or is this a totally like hard reset for the entire game?
It's definitely more changes than I was expecting because of the terrain changes are massive, and how not just like the layouts and the maps, but how your units can interact with the terrain is very different. So, for example, in 10th edition, Mortarion that you were talking about before, in 9th edition, Mortarion had fly. He could just fly over a building. So you would just measure from behind the building, through the building, in a straight fucking line. That's where Mortarion goes. In 10th edition, they changed that. So you had to like do this weird shuffle around the side of the building that took him fucking ages. And then in 11th edition, we're back to fly. Excuse me, that's the dog. Quiet. Hi. And then in 11th edition, you can now fly back over the buildings, but you pay a 2-inch like tax. But also for big stuff, that's why a lot of it's gone up in points, is you can also now just tow into a terrain feature to shoot. So in 10th edition, if you to put one of your, like, let's say you had a Predator in Death Guard, you would have to have it either right through the terrain or completely in the terrain to be able to shoot out. And that was virtually impossible. And now you can just nudge on there, poke on, and then you can see through it and you can shoot again. And that's why things like all your tanks and stuff are going up as well, because all of a sudden those guns can see a lot more things a lot more easily. Mm-hmm. So the fundamentals of the game in that respect are massively changing, like where you position, how you position, when you move forward, etc. All of that is different, very, very different.
Well, I said this when it sort of announced it as well, with respect to going back to like the detachments side of thing. It feels a little bit like a step back to 9th in that respect, doesn't it? Where you could just sort of balance out, I'm playing a 3,000 point game and it's made up of either 3 detachments, 2 detachments, or 1 huge one. Yeah. I remember back you were playing, quote me if I'm wrong, but I think you were playing Dracaria at the time, and there was a thing where it was a better system to take 3 detachments rather than 1 big one, wasn't there?
There was, that's correct. There was a couple of factions where you could split it up into little ones, and it made more sense. Necrons, it didn't. You tended to just pick one. Some people might mix and match, but it was those old force organization charts, and you had to take certain. You know, there were certain things for each detachment that you had to take. You know, you had to take what we call battle line and you know, leaders and stuff like that. And I think this system in 11th is kind of like a halfway house. It's basically a better version of 9th, but it's going to be really interesting in terms of balance, because they've given themselves an awful lot more. You know, there are thousands more combos now across the whole game of how you compare stuff up, and that means that people, particularly in the competitive scene, are going to find out how to break the game pretty quickly. You know, this I combo this with this, I put these units in there, they get double buff because of those 2 detachments, and I'm going to kick your fucking arse in 2 turns.
Yeah, I've seen that specifically, even with like vanilla Marines comboing up captains and lieutenants into Blade Guard units, into various other like the Ultramarine specific units and stuff. And instantly it does feel like there's a couple of combos which could be quite overpowered more than anything else.
Yeah, I think if you remember the start of the 10th edition, it was wild. Like the first probably about 6 months of that edition were bonkers. It took them 6 months just to catch up with Eldar. I think they nerfed them 3 times before they got them like back into the rest of the pack. You know, and we're talking about win rates here in terms of competitive 40k, but they were so good that if you were playing, you know, if your mate had Eldar and even if you were just a casual player, they would wallop you. They were very, very, very good. This edition, I think, will be similar because of all those reasons we just talked about. So new games, they can't playtest all of these combos. There's going to be an awful lot of whack-a-mole where one thing is good and they go and nerf that and then they find something else and so on. But they've also said they are going to do points and rules updates potentially once a month for the first 3 months, which is a bit more reactive, because you don't want to open your box in June, find out your army shit, and then get your ass kicked for 3 months. That's no fun for anyone, is it?
Well, I get my ass kicked anyway all the time. It doesn't matter if it's 3 months or not. But yeah, I get that. It does feel like a bit more. I always liken 40k at the moment to the state of a computer game. They'll release it without it being properly tested through. It'll be a mess for a couple of weeks, and then they just work out the kinks through actual live playing rather than testing it to death.
Yeah, it's 100% that. And I think the challenge they've got as well is the more people they invite into the tent for playtesting, the leakier the company gets.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a fact. So they have to balance that. And you know, the reality is it doesn't impact sales, does it? The box set Armageddon is pretty much sold out. People are still all buying plastic crack. And usually what happens if your army isn't very good is if you're lucky, you either switch to your second army or you go and buy some more units for your first army to try and make them better. So they win either way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm slowly building a Votan army now, so it's not be probably another 4 or 5 months before I even get them on the tabletop. I'm just starting to build them now and paint them up, so it's going to be interesting, like for me to win a new codex and army in that as well. In relation to us leaving 10th, is there anything that you're looking forward to leaving behind, or anything, and also anything that you're sad that you're leaving behind in 10th?
That's a great question. I will definitely not miss L-shaped ruins. I mean, they're not completely gone. We're still going to see them a little bit on tables, but I went to an event a couple of weeks ago, like my last one of 10th edition, and even the hardcore competitive lads I was talking to were just like, can't wait to get rid of these. I've had enough of these. So that bringing that flavour back to the tabletop and that immersion that you were talking about, that is a huge step forward as far as I'm concerned. How long it lasts on the tournament scene remains to be seen. The likes of like UKTC, that obviously runs the UK scene, has kind of said, okay, we'll give this terrain a try. But if they decide that it just doesn't do the job, then they'll do their own thing again. So yeah, I definitely won't miss that. What will I miss? I think that's a very good question. Probably not a great deal, to be honest with you. I think that I sound like I'm shilling for Games Workshop here, but honestly, I think that what I've seen of the rules so far of this edition, they've kept all the best bits of 10th and just improved on it significantly. So there's nothing specific I don't think that I'm going to miss particularly. Maybe the simplicity of playing games, because they've introduced this new system where the detachment that you pick then gives you like a keyword, and then your opponent's keyword you match those together, and that determines what mission you're playing on what map, etc. There's a bit more complexity to that, but that's, in 10th edition we just went, all right, we've got, here's the pack of cards, let's the mission deck, let's get some terrain on the table and play a game. But even then, it's not massively, it's not going to cause any huge headaches. It'll just take a little bit of getting used to.
And if you're to rank, so far, out the 10 editions that we've had, where do you rank 10th edition from all the editions that you've played?
So it was one of my favourites. And I know that wasn't for everybody, but I don't tend to play a lot of narrative or casual 40k. So playing competitive 40k, it was the best edition for competitive play by a mile. So 9th was just a bit too complicated. There was just too much stuff. So like for stratagems, for example, each faction had a deck of cards that were stratagems. Like we had about 40 or 50 stratagems, if I remember correctly. And it's just too many. Like you just didn't need that many. So 10th was nice and streamlined, and generally speaking, I enjoyed it a lot. My absolute favourite would always be first edition, because that was what I played first when I was a kid, and that was what made me fall in love with the game. Second edition as well, to a certain degree. And I think 5th edition, when Necrons that was when Necrons really came to the fore for GW. So that was when they got their lore changed then. Before 5th edition, we were mindless robots, like they were basically based on the Terminator movies. Although GW's IP lawyers wouldn't like you saying that, I don't suppose. But from 5th edition onwards, they changed that law. They got the 180, and Necrons became the masters of their gods. They defeated the Catan, and that brought a whole lot of more flavour to Necrons as a faction, and that enabled us also to get a load of the cool books that we've had since, like Infinite and Divine. Like if you sold us robots, you can't really write about them that much. We were kind of a background menace, so like we appear in a couple of the Caiaphas Cain books, but we're very much like almost like a faceless baddie in that respect. So yeah, I think I've got a couple that I've really enjoyed, but 10th, probably because it's the most recent as well, and my memory doesn't go back that far anymore, but 10th has definitely been a lot of fun.
What do you think is the future for Necrons in this edition? Obviously, with 10th, and even just like generally for a lot of the factions, we saw like a small trickle of like updates, slightly changed to factions, new factions sort of being leaked out here, there, nothing too major. I think everything was a little bit more controlled rather than them just spamming loads of stuff. Do you think that it's going to be a case of we might see one or two of the older characters that they previously canned coming back at some point? Or do you think they might just actually, again, as you say, 180 and bring something completely new about us?
Well, I mean, things like the Necrosaur, nobody saw that coming. And that was... In one respect, you could say there was no need for it, but we're really glad we got it. It's a great model, it's got some great lore already, and it's good fun on the tabletop. But the big rumours that persist in for this edition, the main one is Trazyn the Infinite is coming back, which I hope he gets a new model and some good rules. His rules are terrible at the moment. They just knocked 10 points off him again. I think he's come down in points at least twice this edition. He's down to 65 points now, and like for a named character, but it's because he doesn't do very much. It gives you sticky objectives, and that's it. And the other one is the Catan Shard of the Deceiver, because that is the last of the fine cast Catan that's left now. So the rumour is that was done, or certainly the design was approved at the same time as the Nightbringer. So hopefully that will finally come out as well.
Do you see Trazyn bringing back any units with him that he's maybe found? Would that be a good way for them to introduce some new units for
Pokemon? He just throws out a ball and there's a random squad of guardsmen from like the Horus Heresy to pop out.
Yeah, I would love that. I think, we've been spoiled. Necron players have been absolutely spoiled for the past few editions, because we were the well, not the poster boys of Ninth. That was Space Marines, obviously, but we were the starter box enemies in Ninth edition, and that box, the Indomitus box, sold like hotcakes because that was the COVID edition. If you think about when Ninth came out, so we have a huge player base. GW knows this, so they. We're basically like the Space Marines of Xenos. We get an awful lot more than a lot of other factions. Let's put it that way.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You look at a lot of the factions that are out there, and I know the older players are probably screaming at me, "Shut up, Casey, we get nothing." But I think it when you think about how they've sort of done 40k out at the moment, obviously they have a big focus on the big bads, which is probably why you do see some factions more starved, because they are trying to still spin in Imperial good guy, aliens, and all of this bad guy, sort of a little bit of a narrative to it. And I think it is, they have to do that to get people in the door. But I do think it's nice that the big bads are being focused on probably a little bit more than they have been in recent years.
I think so. I think when you've got the capabilities to make such beautiful models like those big set pieces, then why not do it, And we know we're gonna get more Primarchs this edition. That's a given. And then it's a question of, what else comes alongside that as well. I've even heard rumours that we're getting a new Rabute Guilliman model. It doesn't seem that long since we got the last one. I think it was 8th edition, but I suppose that's like 10 years ago, isn't it? But yeah, I think part of, I was talking before about play style and what they're nudging us towards. I do think it's going to be MSU, but it's going to be a kind of a weird hybrid between running like little units next to your big set piece stuff. They're still definitely going to have a place.
So do you think what they're going to try and do is so every faction is going to have like a supreme commander that is going to be like dictating, maybe just sitting in the background at the back of the battlefield, kind of maybe moving to give aura abilities and buff certain units. Do you think that's where they're kind of trying to go, like kind of general in the background?
For some cases, it depends on the faction. So something like Tau, for example, that's a perfect description. That is exactly what that they tend to like to do. Sit back there, give out buffs. Similarly with Imperial Guard, that's their play style, those kind of gunline armies. But then you've got to think about things like World Eaters, and they've got Angron. Angron ain't sitting at the back. The nails are biting, he's coming for you. But I think it's more to do with, again, going back to trying to get, GW is trying to bring the game back under its own umbrella, because the competitive game had gone off on its own tangent, and that was dictating the rest of the game, to be honest. Like you probably experienced this as well, but if you were trying to play casual 40k, a lot of the time you would be playing on the same terrain setups as a competitive player. But that would mean those competitive setups were built in a way that it made it very difficult to take your big stuff. So let's think about Necrons. So we've got the Seraptech Heavy Construct, the big ass crab. You couldn't move that around the table. I remember going to a tournament at the beginning of 10th, and the guy, it was his first Warhammer event he'd come to. He was a Tyranid player, and he brought the Hierophant, that enormous bug. It's a beautiful model. And this was game 5, like last game of the tournament, and he was a bit down in the dumps, and I was like, what's the matter? And he's like, well, I brought this, but the rules say I can't really move it through terrain and that. And I went, look, it's the 5th game. I'm not going to win the tournament, neither are you. Move it where you fucking want. Shoot what you want, I don't care. Have some fun with it. And we just had it, But unless you had an opponent that was willing to let you do that, you couldn't use that big shit in 10th. So the new rules allow us all of a sudden. So for Necrons, you might see that heavy construct. You might see the Tesseract Vault back on the table. That's a massive chonker. Takes up about like a sixth of the table by itself. And you couldn't move it around the terrain in 10th edition. But all of a sudden now with these new rules, you're like, oh, well, I can just fly over there, or I can just tow into this bit of terrain, and then I can see you and shoot you and all that good shit. So all of that big stuff has a new way of being able to play it without you having to throw 10th edition out of the window, if you like.
Do you think we're going to see more flying units then? So do you think we're going to see like kind of Stormbirds and more like
flying and all of that sort of stuff? Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see that?
I think we're definitely going to see more flying stuff. They've changing the rules for some of it. So Space Marine, basically anything that was a flying transport, like the Space Marines have got is it the Storm Raven, that gunship? I think, well, all the Imperials can get it, I think, can't they? So things like that have stopped being aircraft because the aircraft rules were a bit silly. So they're just basically flying transports now. They've got a movement characteristic back. They'll hover. They'll work basically like anything else with fly. And that should mean more of those can get back on the table. Actual aircraft have got better rules in 11th than they had in 10th, because 10th you had to move them a minimum distance in a straight line. You could pivot up to 90 degrees, and they just kind of made a funny rectangle around the table, or they flew off and had to come back on again. The new rules are much more simplified, and I think they're deliberately dropping the points on aircraft as well. So, like I said, things like our Doomside's gone down by 30 points. That's like, I don't know, an eighth of its cost or something. So it's a big drop, 12.5% drop, 13% drop. So that's going to be worth having a look at.
Yeah, I think the only time I've ever seen a flyer in all the games I played recently was like a practice 1K warm-up that I did years ago. And the guy only bought it because he said, I've got this, I've never used it. If it's all right with you, I want to give it a go. I was like, yeah, cool. The league I've played in recently, no one had a single aircraft. And I think it's a little bit of a shame, but then also, you know, I think it's one of those. It's half of one and a dozen of the other, isn't it? I see the benefit of it, but then at the same time, if the rules aren't there to support it, what's the point of them?
So I went to an event called King in the North at Element Games in Stockport, and they stressed it was a casual tournament. It's like about 1,250 points or something. They were like, bring all your stuff that you never usually get to play with. So I was like, fucking get in. So I made a list with 2 Doomsides in it and a couple of other bits. But I think out of 100 players, there was about, I don't know, 10% of us that had followed those instructions. A lot of other people just brought, you know, things of varying strengths. There wasn't a lot of meta chasers there, but there was a lot of people that brought a reasonable list. And I just got my ass kicked for 3 games. But the Doom side, like the first game, I was like, I've just brought the lads who've never seen these. I was playing against Tyranny, it's like a big bug list. And he's like, I've never seen these on the table. I'm like, yeah, they're really shit. But it's got this heavy death ray that has sustained D3 shots. So it gets 3 shots. I rolled 2 6s and then rolled 2 more 6s. So I ended up getting 9 shots with it and just obliterated one of his big bugs on turn 1. And he's like, oh yeah, it's shit, is it? It never did anything else for the rest of the tournament. But yeah, I was just like, oh, typical.
No, it's one of them things. I played a game not long ago, and the first 2 games I played, I was getting stomped. I was rolling 1s for days. And we started getting into the fighting phases of it all in turn 2. And I said to the guy, right, you're going to start wiping the floor with me. And all my saves were 6s.
Yeah.
6s. And he's looking at me like, you're chatting shit. And I'm like, I promise you I'm not. This never happens. I still lost. But I made him work for it for once. Yeah. It felt like a little win for me.
Yeah, I think the other thing I won't miss about 10th is that the games could be very one-sided. They tried to fix it in 10th, and they did it a little bit with the kind of catch-up mechanics and stuff, but for competitive 40k, they decided to get rid of that. So you could still get a real arse-kicking. I think the way the cards are structured now should make games closer, and that's a lot more fun for everybody. I don't care whether you play casual or competitive. The close games where you win or lose by a couple of points are always my favourites anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I still learn from getting my arse absolutely handed to me, but there's a difference in someone just turning up with a complete meta list and wiping the floor with me versus someone who's actually put a bit of thought into trying something out or being different or is learning something, and you actually work together during the game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's about that engagement and interaction. So there are still elements of 40k, and there was elements of this in 10th edition where you couldn't interact with your opponent's army. Like an Eldar player would be like, right, I've got a wave serpent here with fire dragons in it, and they're going to jump out from the fire dragons, the wave serpents behind this building. They're going to jump out of the wave serpent. They're going to shoot you in the face, and then they're going to fuck off back inside it again, and there's nothing you can do about it. Mm-hmm. And there's, there are ways you can actually, you learn how to deal with it and stuff, but particularly on a casual basis, stuff like that used to really annoy players, and I think for good reason. So hopefully this edition is going to be a bit more interactive. The main problem they've still got on interactivity is you go, I go. It's not alternating activations.
Yeah.
So if the dice go in my favour or against you, or you've just slightly mispositioned, or I get lucky or whatever, I can have a good turn and really fuck you up. And in alternating activations, you can't really do that as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people see that alternating activations in 40k.
So there's, if I remember correctly, they tried it when they were testing. I think it was 8th edition, and said it didn't feel like 40k, so they decided against it. What we saw in 10th was an awful lot more of them trying to fudge it. So we got like more Overwatch reactive moves. So there's things that you can do in your opponent's turn, and that's going to be, I think, an even bigger part of the game in 11th edition. That is their compromise. I think, is to say it's not entirely you go, I go, because there's still a couple of things. You've still got a couple of tricks up your sleeve if you need them in my turn. But let's face it, alternating activations is just a better system.
It is, yeah. Yeah, is that what Trench Crusades follow then? Because I don't know much about it.
Yeah. It's written by the same guy that did Mordheim, Thomas Moonen, and it's between about 8 and a dozen models per side on a 3x3. The models are cool as fuck, like the lore's cool as fuck. They're really, really good. And the game is basically based around 2d6, and you need to roll a 7 or above to make something happen. And then obviously there are different ways to modify that. You might get an extra dice for something, or you might be able to take a dice off your opponent for something, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a lovely, simple system. It's not a balanced game either. I don't like working in resin, so the first faction that came out in plastic was the Prussians, so I bought them, but they are really, really good. You can basically just equip them all with grenades, and grenades are fucking great. So I just went around chucking grenades at people. It's probably slightly racist, but I like to get in character, so I'm shouting "Grenade!" and as I chuck them at people. But yeah, apologies to any German viewers.
We just had one tune in, so good job you got that disclaimer in quick.
Yeah.
Pretty sure she's Italian, but she lives in Germany.
I don't know. I probably need to apologise now, so there you go. Sorry for assuming you were German.
Not all Europeans are Russian or German.
They are all European.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely recommend Trench Crusade. If you like 3D printing, loads of files available. You can 3D print a Warbound overnight and just get it painted up and get stuck in. Rules are all free online. Definitely worth. I'm not paid by Trench Crusade, but I just really like the game. Really, really like it.
And see, in relation to 11th, is there any armies you're looking to maybe start up, or are you just going to go full hardcore Necrons?
So I've got, I think I mentioned this to you before, but a couple of years ago, or 18 months ago, I won an Orc army in a raffle. It's kind of behind us over there. If you can see it behind us, there's a stomper up there on the shelf there at the top of there. Yeah, so I've been, it's lovely that I won this Orc raffle, Orc army, but it's painted in purple with leopard skin spots. And I can't replicate the leopard skin spot, so I'm busy at the moment. I'm painting over the leopard skin to kind of bring it up to scratch. And I've got obviously going to get the Armageddon box later, hopefully later this weekend. So when that drops, I should have 3,000 points of orcs basically. So that's what I'm probably going to look at. I think you mentioned before, like you were doing Votann. When I played Necron Solid for years, and when I got into Dark Eldar, I was so shit at Dark Eldar because they are the opposite. They just die like flies. Like you've got to be really careful where you put them. If your opponent gets a shot on them, they kill them. But the end result of that was you become a more rounded player. I'm not going to say a better player because I'm still shit, but you definitely become a better player because you learn another play style. So obviously I'm not everybody can afford to go out and buy a whole new army or anything. I can't, that's for sure. But it's nice to have something that you can start to build up now, and then by the time all the madness is finished around this edition, when we get into like end of the year or into next year, if you've got 1,000 points ready of your Votan or whatever, you can get them on the table, can't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously with Father's Day coming up, I'm hoping for a wee voucher so I can get the big land fortress. And I was able to, the last tournament I was in, the guy that came third got the Battle Force box. So he sold me that for £100, which was an absolute steal. And I got I just reached out to him and he says, make me an offer. So I was like, right, how low do I go? So being Scottish, I was like, I can't be too tight. So I said to him 120, and he went, send me 100 and then a fiver for postage. So 105 it cost me.
Sweet.
And I got the combat patrol as well because I had another voucher for my birthday, which was just there. So yeah, so I've got a combat patrol, and I've been reaching out to other people who have maybe been collecting the combat patrol magazines. So I think I'm getting another load of stuff off other people as well. So yeah, I just wanted something different as well. Like, and I like that. I don't see many. I think there's maybe one other person in Donegal that plays Votan, but he's kind of semi-retired. So I was just looking for something that nobody else is running. So that's Space Marines.
Yeah, and it's nice to have something a bit different. There's not many Votan players that I know. There's one. I think they've been quite hard to make them work in 10th edition as well. They've been a difficult faction to run.
Yeah, but I'm straight anyway, so it's not going to make much of a difference in how I play. I just get kill happy. That's like, I should really be a World Eater player. I just want to kill people.
You should be a World Eater player.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that's going to be good about this edition, though, is like you could pick a detachment for Votan that's the Killy detachment. You can put all your Killy stuff in it, and then you will get Purge the Foe as your mission. So your primary mission will be based around what you like to do, which is go and fuck things up. And you might end up playing against me when I've got like 40 warriors on the table, and my main mission is to try and sit in the middle of the board and not die. And then you end up with like an unstoppable force, immovable object type scenario, which I think is quite cool. But there's a lot of people that play 40k, and quite rightly so. You know, it's where they just want to put stuff on the table and knock 7 bells out of each other. And now you can actually score points for doing that as well, which I think is quite good.
Yeah. I think especially for newer players, because trying to figure out, you've got to control this objective, you've got to move this to here, you've got to activate this, when you can actually just be like, build your army to a playstyle you want to give a go and just run with it.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what it's like? It's actually like learning how to play chess. Because then, like, I played chess when I was younger. Like, you learn the basics, and then you start reading about different, like, defences, like the Sicilian and the London and the Scotch, and then it's adapting, finding out what strategies and books suit your kind of aggressive style as well, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And there's going to be a lot more scope for that in this edition, which I'm really pleased about. You were a little circling back now. Think about to that question you asked ages ago about about 10th edition. One of the things I think I won't miss is you were railroaded a little bit in terms of how you had to play. You've actually got choice back in this edition, and so you can play the game your way, and that's what everybody wants. You spend a lot of time and money on all of these little plastic toy soldiers, and then you don't want to feel like you're being shoved in a direction that you don't want to go.
Yeah, that exactly, because like the way I feel is like I buy a model, I want to play that model. I'm not buying it to paint it and to sit because it's a shite model in the game, just so it looks pretty. I bought it because I want to put it on the table.
You've bought it and painted it, and you want to put it on the table, and you want to get it blasted off the table in turn one, because let's face it, that's what happens every time.
I have noticed that your painting has improved, and I don't mean that patronising, because I'm a shit painter. But I follow you on Instagram, and I've noticed that your painting has come on leaps and bounds in the past few months. Have you been doing more of it?
I think I just found my groove with the Death Garden, but I think obviously I get some Turbo Dot paints off the Turbo Dot a few weeks ago. I actually need to send Casey his. and I just fancy doing something different with the Votan anyway. Go, so I'm using the kind of the paints to do them, and kind of like alien type, kind of glammy, spacey, futuristic, obviously.
80s cheese sci-fi.
Yeah, I love it. It's got that almost like not quite Tron vibes, or what's they call it, synthwave and stuff like that. But it's I like my Xenos to look that way. Like they should look a bit. They should look otherworldly because they are, aren't they?
Yeah, you want a wee bit outrageous, a wee bit kind of glam rocky from the 70s.
Yes,
a wee bit of Flash Gordon.
There's one person that's come to mind, but I'm not going to say his name. We all probably know who I'm thinking about. We're not allowed to mention him.
Gary Dot. Oh,
yeah, there you go. You just said it anyway. Fuck it.
So just to run to the Armageddon box, right? Obviously, you're going to be getting that. I mean, there's a lot of people in buying sales doing like, I'll buy your Orcs off you, I'll buy your Space Marines off you. Would you have liked to have seen a different faction than the Blood Angels, or would you like what other Space Marine faction would you have liked to have seen if it wasn't Blood Angels?
I mean, fundamentally, the box Marines are vanilla Marines, so they've put Blood Angels on there as a throwback because I think it was 3rd edition was the that was the Orcs v Marines Blood Angels box, but the box itself is relatively generic. I mean, I would love. This I'm not quite answering your question here, but what I would love GW to do is have the balls to do a starter set without Marines in it.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're never going to do that. Marines are obviously the biggest sellers, but they just feel this box in particular feels a little bit like the squeeze in the last. You know, it's blood from a stone type stuff. So yes, we needed a new land speeder. The new land speeder is quite cool. It's going to snap off its fucking base the first time you play with it on the table.
Yep.
You know, or if you dry brush it too hard, or fart next to it, or you know, anything like that. But beyond that, like the rest of the box is not that exciting. And if you think back to 10th edition, we got stuff we didn't really need then, like, oh, here's a new Dreadnought variant. This one's called a Ballistus. Yeah, but it's a bit shit and it doesn't look as good as a Redemptor. Here's some guys with flamers, but we don't really, you know, no. There was stuff in there that we didn't really need, but they're just trying to squeeze more new Space Marine units out to fill a box.
Yeah.
And this 11th felt even more like that. And I think if you're reaching that point where you can't, you know, fill a box with some really cool shit, then choose another faction. There's loads of factions out there.
I'm going to ask you a two-part question in this then, right? Obviously, do you think that we've had, over the last year, we've had a shit ton of Space Marines releases? Do you think that's played into the downfall of the Armageddon box? And if you didn't have another faction, would you have just preferred if it was just like a big, massive battle force of like 2,000, 3,000 points of Orcs?
Yeah, I think so. I think you are 100% right. There was such an enormous amount of Space Marines churned out. You know, excuse me, it became like a meme, didn't it? End of 9th, start of 10th. It was like a new Space Marine lieutenant every week, like the fucking shit of Space Marine lieutenants. There's a new Space Marine captain in that box that's basically just a repose of the Space Marine captain that was in Indomitus. They're running out of ideas. And is that because they're holding a bunch of other stuff back to come out for later in this edition? Probably, but I think a lot of that might be more faction specific. So, like, we're going to get a load of blood. I think Blood Angels are going to get some stuff, and I think the other chapter that might get some love is White Scars. Would be a guess for me. So, yeah, there's two ways to do it. Either you say, right, we've run out of vanilla Marines to do, and we've run this dry. There's nothing left. So they actually did Blood Angels. They should have actually done Blood Angels and gone, right, these are gonna be Blood Angels in this box. That would have been cooler, as far as I'm concerned. The other side of it, in terms of around the launch, should they also do big army boxes for other factions? Fucking yes. They've kind of done it. They've released, I think they announced 4 Battle Force boxes this week, one of which is Necrons, and that's the only one I've looked at, if I'm being honest. But the Battle Force boxes are the same as the Combat Patrols. They've been steadily reducing the value in those boxes while keeping the price the same. so the discount that you're getting is increasingly less. So there's definitely scope for them to do a better job of that. And if they grow a pair, if they have to stick to Marines, grow a pair and pick an actual faction and give them some new models in a starter set. Why not?
Yeah, but because I mean, it would make sense if you're bringing back a Primarch, right? See, if you launched it with the Imperial Fists or the White Scars, then we all know that Rodon or Khan is coming back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and then that would obviously get people that love that faction so hard that they're going to just jizz everywhere.
Yeah, but also they've just done this detachment thing. So technically, I mean, you know, you might, let's say you're a Blood Angels player, but they put White Scars in the box. You go, right, well, I'll take a 2 DP Blood Angels detachment and a 1 DP White Scars one, and now I can just mix and match. And they've given themselves their own mechanics, like the ability to do this, and then still haven't done it. They're still shit the bed and gone, right, we're sticking with vanilla Marines.
See, I think just talking about this now, right, I know there was a lot of backlash when they did it with the old world, but when they released that again, and they were like, right, we're not giving you a 1 box 2 army situation. It's a case of you buy this box, it's got everything that you need to make a Bretonian or your under Chimeri, it's got your rule book in it. I think now we're possibly at that stage with 40k where that's what they should be leaning into, because everyone's been knocking around for so long. We've all had different editions. Just give us a faction box with an army book and say, bang, here you go, off you go, start.
And even if that box had a load of terrain in it.
Yeah. But I think we might see, and I don't know whether it was something. There was a recent picture that they released online of, I want to say it's salamanders and orcs fighting, meant to be Armageddon or something. And I don't know whether they just actually kit bashed the train themselves or not, but it looked like some of the bits that they were displaying might have the potential of being terrain pieces. I think there was a broken up dreadnought and something else, but I think given the way that they've now made the terrain rules, there is scope for them to properly do that.
Yeah, I think I would like to see a lot more terrain this edition, but because of the sizes of the footprints, they don't need to be quite as big. Like in 10th edition, they launched a load of terrain that you didn't ever get on the table. Like smaller, more interesting bits like they used to do. But also, if you think about how many factions have got terrain, really, I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. But the only one I can think of I've got Admech in the garage. I've got obviously a bunch of Imperial stuff that everybody's got from starter sets, and I've got a bunch of Orc stuff. But beyond that, there's no Votan terrain, there's no Eldar terrain, anything like that, is there?
No, I want to say they might have done something for Eldar donkeys ago. I'm hazarding a guess at that. I seem to remember something Wraith Bony.
There's definitely been. They did the Webway Gate, which was a really nice piece, but I think that's in resin. But yeah, there's opportunities to do a lot more, and particularly, like I said, you don't actually need a massive piece of terrain now. It needs to be the right size to fit on them footprints. Then that should be easier to produce and it's cheaper to buy a set.
Yeah, there's definitely the opportunity for them. I mean, we say cheaper to buy a set, they'll still probably charge us 50 quid for a couple of bits.
Of course they will, yeah.
But, it gives, but even then, you've still got, I suppose, how many 3D printers knocking around there designing interesting looking stuff, alternative stuff. And 3D printing probably price-wise isn't that much cheaper, but it's still...
It's definitely cheaper. And the FDM printers now, you can get really good FDM printers, so you can print in plastic and you don't get loads of those layer lines anymore. But yeah, I'm looking at making some Necron themed terrain. So somebody very kindly printed me, I mean, I paid him for it, but he printed me a Seraptech Heavy Construct, the big crab.
Yeah.
And I, while I was priming it, after gluing it together, I knocked it off the shelf and it broke into like 40 pieces. But those legs, a couple of those legs stacked together with a few other bits might make a nice bit of orky type terrain, like
Yeah.
with some barrels and some other bits of scrap metal or something, that would make a nice, like instead of an L-shaped ruin, that would make a nice alternative.
I think as well, this is something I know we've talked about specifically in especially bashing the L-shaped ruins, because it was all L-shaped, it was all industrial or city looking. It gives us a chance of getting a bit of flavour back into what 40k is, because you think, I always refer back to it, the third edition pages where you've got all the different examples of all the different worlds in the Imperium.
Yeah.
You can easily now have some castle walls and just stick some eagles on them as like, oh yeah, it's a feudal world. Use the orc terrain, say, yeah, this world's just full of scrap. It's a tip of a planet. All of this sort of stuff. It just gives a little bit more, yeah, I'll say it again, flavour to what you're doing, and makes your tables a little bit more interesting.
I'm really, that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, is playing on tables that are a bit more immersive. I hadn't realised how much I missed it until we started talking about this more.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think my local gaming store, well, I think a lot of local gaming stores, when they all announced it, absolutely shit themselves. All of them have all got these MDF pieces, and they're like, oh, fucking hell, what are we doing with this now? But seeing what a lot of people have had to come up with on the rush to get ready for 11, it's been really cool as well. And actually, people are putting their minds to it. And, you know, I've seen some places going back through the previous editions of stuff, ripping up Kill Team boxes, those old terrain sets from 7th and 8th, and really going to town on them. And it makes the hobby more interesting for everyone.
One of the things I think, like you touched on there, is it's going to be more creativity from 3D printers. I think that was kind of holding back some of there hasn't, like, to a certain degree, the 3D market tends to follow where GW leads. So if GW makes some Necron terrain, then all of a sudden that will, and I'm not just mean like for like copies, but that will inspire creators to go and do their own thing. And if they did that with Eldar terrain or Votan terrain, that will then inspire the 3D printed community to do a bit more as well, I think.
I mean, and obviously, if somebody's in it to Emperor's Children, then they can just gather up all their dildos and just use it like in the dildo world. Do you know what I mean?
I can see that now. Yeah. There's plenty of themed creators out there that I think will lean into that. But then, yeah, even like there's this famous picture. I can't remember who's done it, of these two people walking around this landscape, and the landscape's just full of faces sticking out of the ground. And I've always thought, I'll find it and send it to you. I've got it somewhere. But
was that not Lord of the Rings when they're walking?
No, because you're thinking of the swamp bit. But I can't remember the artist who did this, but it feels very Eye of Terror-y Chaos Planet to me when you look at it. It's quite surreal. And even just tapping into that and being like, you look at Salvador Dali's picture, let's make a terrain that's like a melting clock just to fuck with people's minds. Stuff like that, you know, it really gives like a bit more license.
Yeah, exactly. And I think hopefully it'll see like making your own terrain come back as well. Like that was something that was a big part of every edition up until 10th, and then it just kind of died a bit in 10th because everyone just wanted L-shaped ruins. So now hopefully like building your own stuff is going to come back a little bit more.
Yeah.
Do you think this is kind of to bring the older, more mature player back to it, instead of just like the casual filth? Maybe, but to get that more immersive, do you think that they've listened and went, right, we've lost a lot of people here to the likes of Trade, maybe even Horus Heresy and Kelties, we need to bring people back to 40k?
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point. I think a lot of the older heads fucked off to Heresy and to Kill Team to some degree. There's a bunch of lads at my club who just drifted out of 40k in at the back end of 9th, tried 10th and just didn't like it, but are all dusting all their stuff off at the moment and are like, let's get some games in and see if, you know, they're up for giving it a go at least, but everything they've seen so far indicates to them it's heading back in that right direction. So yeah, 100% I think so. I think the GW obviously is a massive corporation, and it needs to demonstrate continued perpetual growth to its shareholders. Every quarter or every year has to be better than the last, really. And throughout COVID, they had a massive boost because people were coming back, and for a long time they were like, how long is this going to last? Are they going to get bored again? Then they realized we're all staying, and then they got a shitload, absolute shit ton more people from Space Marine 2. So they didn't really give a shit about the people, the older fans that were dropping out of the hobby, because for everyone that dropped out, there was 2 coming in the door. And I think they've got to the point now is like, right, for our next phase of growth, until they've basically got to fill a gap between Space Marine 2 and Henry Cavill show. And that means, well, they do. That's how it's going to work, isn't it? So part of that, I think, is fluttering their eyelashes again and blowing kisses at the older players and saying, come on back. Let's have another fling, one more round, you know.
Kind of like Rachel and Friends when Ross walks in and her joy kissing, she's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Put that other game system down. You don't need to play that. Come back to us.
Yeah. But at the same time, also, I think they are aware there is an explosion of other games. So you've got one-page rules is now quite a serious outfit. It's meant to be, I still haven't played it, meant to be a much easier game, but they were at UK Games Expo with a bunch of, a fucking shitload of plastic stuff that's coming out. And it's a fraction of the price. Bolt Action have got Conflict 47, fraction of the price to get into that game. Both easier pickup games to play as well. So the competition is growing. Like the hobby has never been this rich and this broad before. So GW actually has to put in a little bit more effort to keep its customers.
Yeah, you even look at the skirmish market, like you're saying, Trench Crusade. I don't know if Martin's still in the chat, but we've been playing the odd game of Crisis Protocol every now and again. Even the fact that companies like big brands like Halo are getting in the act. I think there's a Metal Gear Solid game that's coming out. There's a Ghost in the Shell one coming out. You've then got the Gundam people making one. You know, they're getting everyone sort of waking up and thinking, hang on, this is a little bit of a market we can tap into. So the competition is fierce. I think fiercer than it has been in a long time, which is a benefit for everyone.
It really is. And I think some of the IPs like Halo's got a game. There was a Stargate game, I think I saw at UK Games Expo. And as much as we've been rabbiting on about 40k, and I fucking love 40k, but it's not for everybody. Some people come in through those avenues that we talked about before, invest a bit of money and time in it, and really just try to love it and don't. They want something different. And the fact that that's out there now means that they can go and play something else. But almost... I'm trying to put a number on it. I reckon I saw 20 or 30 new skirmish games at UK Games Expo. There was fucking loads of them. A lot of them from YouTubers, because the YouTube advertising money's dried up or is dropped off a lot. So you've got, like I mentioned, Dave from MS Paints. He's written his own game, which is brilliant. But there was guys like, the guys from America, what they call Tabletop Titans, massive channel over there.
Yep.
They were there with us launching a Kickstarter for a skirmish game. All of those content creators are all trying to get in on that. Duncan Rhodes launching a skirmish game. Yeah. That was actually really good, though. I was like, I'll go and give this a try, but I'm not, massively convinced. And it was actually great. Really looking forward to that one coming out as well. So yeah, there's a lot more competition. It does mean GW has got to raise its game a little bit, but also if 40k isn't your jam, or you want something to play on a Wednesday night after you've watched the Inquisition, or while you're watching the Inquisition, you can't play a game of 40k in less than 3 hours, and that's like competitively 3 hours, 2 hours 45. A beer and pretzels game with your mates, probably 4.5 hours, 5 hours. You can't do that on a midweek, can you?
No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is my first proper edition change, so I'm actually looking forward to it. I downloaded it today and I was faffing about with detachments and trying to build lists, but I think I'm just 2 balls deep into the World Cup just now, so I don't think I'll be playing.
I'm not going to play any games for a while. I'll wait till the World Cup's over. I'll paint everything while the World Cup's on, but give me some time to reset and figure it all out.
Yeah, same as that. I've watched every game of the World Cup so far. Uh,
Well, you stay up till like 4 in the morning.
no, because I've got the RT player, so I can just watch it on, like, I watched the full game of, like, the Jordan-Argentina game today. Like, I think if the Jordan goalkeeper didn't fuck up at the end of the second half, I think if they went in and won each, it might have been a totally different game. You know what I mean?
That's Zidane's son, bruv.
Yeah, like, when,
They're old. I feel old. Zidane's son's playing football and he's a goalie. What's going on in the world?
and he's representing Algeria. It's like, that's madness.
Let's not forget the craziest bit. Yeah, bloody hell. But it's
Cooking makes a good point for once in her life. It's not often that Cooking makes a good point, but she's managed to put it together. Kill Team does go fast. I actually enjoy a bit of Kill Team because you've only got 6 units, and it's just getting that kind of activation thing in your head sorted. I think, like, with Death Guard, you get 6 units, and then away you go. So I like Kill Team. It does go fast, but again, can take, an hour, 90 minutes to play.
Yeah, if you get up to speed, I think you can play a game in 90 minutes, and I think it's just where I'm at the moment. It's just a little bit too crunchy for me. I just don't have the headspace or the bandwidth to learn that extra step of rules to make it work. Whereas Trench Crusade or something like that, Mordheim or whatever. Mordheim is a piece of piss to play. The crunchiness is basically in afterwards. Trench Crusade's a bit the same as that. You can do that in your own time, like you've got 15 steps about what happens to your warband. There's, did one of them poke the other one in the eye, or has he lost a leg or something? But that isn't part of the actual game itself. You can do that after, so yeah, I'm not a Kill Team hater. It's just a couple of steps more brain power than I'm ready to be using for a midweek game at the moment.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I think if he's still in the chat, I'm not sure, Martin, my MTP buddy, but him and his mates have been really helpful walking me through it. And again, like picking up a new skirmish game, that initial, I suppose, picking up any game the first time you get it, that brain fuzz after your first game is brutal. And it doesn't matter what game you play, you walk away from it with a headache and you don't know whether you've had fun or not until you go back and give it another go. I think that's probably, like you say, with people dusting stuff off, getting ready for 11th edition, it will be, I think, for the first couple of games for everyone, that brain fuzz is going to be horrible. But we'll get our heads around it soon enough.
So my mate Darryl, he probably played about 4 or 5 games of 10th edition. Like literally hasn't played 40k for nearly 3 years. But he plays an awful lot of games, like lots and lots of other stuff. So he will pick it up a lot quicker than someone that's actually a complete new. But you're right; it'll definitely be a few games. It's going to be like that for all of us because I don't think a lot of people have grasped yet how much of a change this edition is going to be from the last one. How we play the game is very, very different now.
So, probably one of my last questions. I know that we're getting close to the England kick-off to watch them getting pumped off Croatia 4-1. Do you think that, as you said, you were at Games Expo there, and you said there's like 30 tone with the games, and we'll just see the ones that survive now?
I think there definitely is going to be a case of oversupply and a bit of what they would call market correction, I suppose. Yeah, there is, but there is just such an appetite for other stuff, and I think I've hit the ceiling pretty much with Necrons. There's basically about 3 or 4 units left that I haven't got. Like, it's the big stuff that I can't really afford at the moment, like the Tesseract Vault or whatever. I would love one, but I mean, even if I built it, I haven't got anywhere to put it. So people like me who've got everything that they want for an army, or those psychopaths that just buy 2,000 points and build them and that's it, never buy anything else. I wish I had that level of willpower. But those people are now like, right, well, I've done that. That's finished. My hobby money can go elsewhere. And that is why some of those, like the Trench Crusade Kickstarter was enormous. It raised like millions and millions of pounds more than they expected. I do think that there is going to be so many of those things going on that it will be different. And there was people specifically going out of their way to say that there wasn't a Kickstarter. So Duncan Rhodes, like, he's made so much money from his other stuff. That's not a Kickstarter. They're just funding that. It's whatever way they're funding it themselves. Petrichor by Dave from MS Paint, so I keep going on about, he self-funded that game with his, that's not a Kickstarter. So that is obviously because there is some concern that market's saturated, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Trench jumped in like at the right time. So did maybe Combat 47 jumped in just at the right time where people did have that bit extra money, and that's why we've maybe seen so many pick up Trench Crusade and like Combat 47, especially as I think with some of the old bolt action heads can use the same units in their bolt action for their Combat 47. Like, I kind of wish that you could get that way Horus Heresy, where you can maybe use like your Death Guard from Horus Heresy in with your 40k, because apparently like the Wops doesn't really age, so like why couldn't you have like some 30k Death Guard attached to some 40k Death Guard? You know what I mean? I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah,
so
like
I think there's been a little bit of a thawing in that respect, because the Custodes update that they did for Heresy, they've been honest and said you can use those in 40k, and that we thought we were going in the other direction. So for about a year and a half, there was rumours that Chaos Demons were going to get cut from 40k because you can use the same big demons, well, and some of the little demons in Sigmar as well. And I would guess, I'm assuming you can probably use some of them in Old World, because that's where they came from originally. So anyway, but they didn't do that. They brought out new detachments of Chaos Demons. It obviously looks like Chaos Demons are still going to stay in 40k. So there's definitely been a change in attitude there, where they are not going to try and ring fence each game anymore, because that's just shit. it's not, and it comes back. I think it boils back to that point you made earlier about them having to look after the customers a bit better. They can't get away with some of the sharp practices that they've done in the past to the same degree, I don't think, because there is so much choice out there now that we might just say fuck you and go somewhere else.
I think you are right. It was interesting with the Custodes to see them drop new models and be like, oh, by the way, this is for both. You don't have to, this isn't limited for one. There is possibly a scope for them to do that with certain units here, there, and everywhere with certain things, but we just have to see how it plays out, I suppose, don't we?
And they've started to do a bit in the back end of 10th there with the Marines, where they brought back like some of the beaky helmets and stuff like that. Like you get a mix of helmets and armor in your box now, because why would they all look like Primaris? And that to me as well indicates that maybe, I don't think they'll ever be completely interchangeable. They'll want Heresy to be its own thing, and that's fair enough. But there should be units that you can use in both, 100%. And that even if it was just like a third of your army, that would make it much, it would make the cost case for me getting into Heresy much easier if, I already owned a quarter or a third of that army.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to jump in with probably my last question here. All right, and this could be, we haven't done much off topic tonight, I don't think. So I'll wade in with a weird one. I was just emptying out my work bag there tonight. And at the bottom of it, I was feeling some weird squishy thing. And I've just pulled out what was a packet of Bourbons that have been absolutely obliterated. I have no idea how long they've been in my bag. It looks like a bag of shit.
I was going to say, it looks like it's just a dog turd in the bag now, isn't it? Yeah,
pretty much, yeah. But what is the weirdest thing you've left in your pocket for ages and either shoved through the wash or put your hand in and realised, oh, fucking hell, that's still in there?
A common one for me is tomatoes. I've got a little greenhouse, and in a couple of months' time, or a month or so, that I should start to get some tomatoes out of there. I will go out there, I'll pick them, I'll have too many to hold in my hands, I'll put them in my pocket, and then I'll forget about them until I put something else in my pocket, and like my phone gets covered in tomato juice or something like that. So that is a common one. And I'm a bugger for doing the banana in a rucksack as well. I had to pick out a couple of rucksacks, because once that banana's gone in there, you're never getting rid of that smell. It's like
death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I don't really like bananas. But I have a horrible feeling this is at least 4 years old. So
Well,
I might leave it out and see what the wife thinks.
You should put it in some ice cream and give it to the wee fella and see how he copes overnight.
He doesn't eat ice cream. He's shit.
Yeah, shit, mate.
No, we need an England-related Bourbon challenge here. Like, for every goal that Croatia score, you have to eat some of that.
All right. I'll actually put it on my account as well.
Oh, come on, Croatia. 4-0 Croatia.
I'll do it. If Croatia score, that's 1 teaspoon of this.
And if they win, you have to take the entire packet like a sherbet dip or something.
Yo, dip dab, get a lolly and start rolling it around in there.
Yeah.
Just with your fingers, like, wipe them on the wall like a prison dirty protest.
I'd get murdered for that. That'd be great.
Dan, I'm going to put it back to you. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask us?
Well, that's a good one. First one to you is how do you feel about having such clean cheeks? Is it gonna get grown back, or are you gonna just see how you feel about it?
Streamlined. That's what it is.
I look like a fucking thumb, so it's growing back. Honestly, right, I was fucking hating my wee electric shaver, so it's definitely fucking growing back. I look like a dick.
You look like one of Santa's gnomes that's just like been left out in the cold too long, and when they pull his beard, it falls off.
As I said at the start of the stream, I don't think you were on stream at the time, Casey. I look like the kid from The Boy in the Striped Pajamas that survived the war and just became fat.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, all the other boys and their striped pajamas.
Yeah, I ate the striped pajamas. That's why I supposed to run, right?
That's your film, The Boy Who Ate the Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Right. I think that's a show.
Yeah. Next week we have Paint Party Scott on next week, and he will.
With him? Fucking hell.
So he's going to chat us through the changes with the Emperor's Children, aka the Emperor's Nonces, and the Dark Angels, aka the other Emperor's Nonces. And we'll be seeing you next week. Dan, as always, thanks for coming on, man. Absolutely loved having you on. Maybe once 11 edition has had a good few games, we'll get you back on and see how shite your Necrons are and how much you love the flying Cylon Raiders.
Yeah. They're definitely, croissants are definitely back on the menu. I'd love to come back on and talk about croissants. Absolutely.
I just think they look like the Cylon Raiders from fucking Battlestar Galactica.
100%. Yeah, there is very much another influence there that GW's lawyers would never admit.
Yeah. Folks, give Dan a follow, Warhammer Pod. Also give Moonhopper Games a follow, and Orange Brushes. And remember, folk, come on, Croatia, get it in about the English.
It's fucking coming home! It's coming home, France! Yeah!
And you're going to beat Morocco tomorrow. I got my Scotland top yesterday. I the old 1996 Scotland top, so that can only mean, they're classic as well. Fucking.
And remember, if Croatia score, I eat the shit powder.
And you have to video you doing it as well.
I will live stream it for you, don't worry.
Brilliant. Right, folks, have a great day. Come on, Croatia. Good luck to everybody else, apart from England and the World Cup. Bye-bye.
Cheerio, guys.